remember, well, if you were here last week, we were talking about Omar Gonzalez, who was, we looked at his LinkedIn page and we saw, okay, so here we go. He ended his position as principal software engineer in March 2021. We're like, what could that mean? Does that mean he started a new position or is he left the company? And we have our answer.
Yes.
He has moved to Secret Door, which, if you remember, is one of the studios that Mike Moorheim's Dreamhaven is comprised of. So that's where Omar Gonzalez has gone. And as we were talking about last week, and as Wohead bring up in their post, he was basically the man who went, okay, Classic's a thing we're looking at, is around the whole nostalgia stuff, etc., etc. I found, we got the archive team to get the final 1.12 data. Let's see what I can do. Jumped off into his office for a couple of weeks, come back, I went, it's nowhere near done, but it's technically possible, and thus Classic was born. And now he's off to Dreamhaven.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that one?
Now he's gone.
Yep.
He's gone. Which, is going to be sad for many of the Classic players.
Of course, yeah.
The Classic players, I think, saw Omar as like a bit of a father figure. Maybe they're sort of their man on the inside.
Yeah.
Especially in how he solved problems that seemingly were quite hard, that were blockers to the Classic project. And I believe also he made the initial Classic prototype in the modern engine. Or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I just talked about. He basically took the modern game and had Classic data actually work in it, sort of, and then they went from there. And he also prototyped one of their new games. It's possibly he prototyped a new game that might be one of the ones that are in further development.
Yeah, that was an Unreal Engine. So it's neat stuff. He's an 18-year vet, and he is gone now. Of course, he's went to Secret Door. Secret Door is one of Mike Moorheim's new studios.
Yep.
And it's a thing where, people have asked, is Dreamhaven a publisher? What is Dreamhaven? It's kind of a publisher, but more really it is a umbrella organization for multiple studios that will exist underneath it. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of ex-Blizzard people there. Like, if you go through... if you go through like these two companies, Secret Door and the other one. I can't believe I've looked at it. I was literally yesterday.
I want to say Second Dinner, but it's not. That's
Ben Brode.
Yeah.
But basically, if you look there, you just see ex-Blizzard staff are filling up those studios, and Moonshot. Yeah, and Moonshot. That is quite the name for a company.
Yeah, that's ambitious.
Yeah. Like a moonshot is seen as, those long-term, very expensive, very risky sorts of moves. So I wonder what they're making. But what's, I think, interesting to me here is, Mike Moorheim, he leaves Blizzard. He has a lot of stock in Activision Blizzard. I mean, like actual stock. Because I imagine that's where a lot of his wealth will have been.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're just I don't know how much the viewers are aware. I know the two of us are aware, but actually, if you just bring up an Activision Blizzard stock chart there, you'll really see like
Yahoo Finance. What is this?
That'll do. If we just bang that over to the 5-year view, you can see. Yeah. So, I mean, whenever Mike left, it was late 2018, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so since then, it's kind of funny, like, obviously bad luck there, but, stock options went, boom, right back up.
Okay.
So, Mike's got a bunch of funds. Mike and Amy, because they are both involved in Dreamhaven. And I then do wonder, like, what were the terms of his departure, in terms of, like, non-compete, stuff like that? Because it seems very... I don't mean suspect in a bad way, but it certainly is an interesting factoid that man leaves Blizzard. What's the immediate next thing that he does? Seemingly tries to do it again, right?
Yeah, I think the going thing is that he did wait for his non-compete to expire and then immediately had everything spun up.
Yeah.
So he probably had that as soon as he left Blizzard, he probably took a week off and then started planning this stuff out.
Yeah, because it would take a long ass time to get stuff like that together.
Yeah. I guess the question is, where on this graph has he cashed out to pay for it all? Hopefully here.
Yeah. So the thing there is the Moorheims are actually self-funding right now. I believe they said that it was in an interview around when this whole initiative was launched. They did say that they were willing and probably in the future would be taking on investment or something like that. So, given Blizzard's, I guess, long and for them very prosperous, dealings in, say, the China region, I would not be surprised if we saw a NetEase or a Tencent come in there for some sort of equity deal.
That's actually interesting because obviously NetEase are working with Blizzard.
Tencent then.
Yeah. So NetEase are working with Activision Blizzard on all of their stuff. Tencent's going to be like, hello, new Blizzard. Would you like a couple of $100 million?
Yeah, like one of the things we covered in the news video that's going up today.
Yes.
Tencent is Timmy? T-I-M-I?
Timmy or Timmy Studios.
Timmy, yeah. They brought in $10 billion in revenue and are technically by revenue then, are the largest game studio in the world. Mm-hmm. So Tencent can afford it, and they are just on a complete rampage of investing in Western devs. So I would not be surprised if that sort of thing ended up happening. We'll see, what they decide to do with Freedom. Another interesting factoid for me is location. I'm fairly sure this stuff is in Irvine.
Is it Irvine? Interesting. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So there you go.
Yeah, it's in Irvine.
There you go. Everything's in Irvine. They're looking for Dreamhaven or looking for Unity. Oh, Secret Door looking for Unity people in Irvine, which is, rough like.
Yeah. I mean, number one, there's an interesting thing here where there's been rumors floating around that at one point Blizzard wanted to move their HQ away from Irvine because of things that don't make Irvine ideal. So it's interesting that even with some freedom, they still would open up in Irvine. But, your ex-boss, who by all accounts was extremely popular with the staff. So the popular ex-boss goes away, founds a competing company, and sets it up right beside your office. That means that the current Blizzard talent pool who work and live in Irvine, assuming they can get a good deal, and because this is like the startup world, you would then assume that there's maybe some early stock options and stuff like that in contracts. You could really see the biggest, or the best and brightest, the top, the cream of the crop at Blizzard moving over here. And when you look at Omar Gonzalez, what do you see? I think you see somebody who is a long-term veteran who led big efforts himself. So I think he does count as the cream of the crop. Not to disparage anyone underneath him, of course. Because I think he was like quite far up in seniority.
Principal game engineer was his title before he left.
That's a big title.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting to me that like Moorheim, there's no diplomatic way to say it. I mean, it's basically an unzipping, isn't it? Right? Just sort of unzips beside them. It's like, hey, so, the best of you lot come over here. We're doing it again, but free from the things your company does that you don't like. Because we know that Blizzard staff are, there's not always the best opinions of Activision Blizzard from some Blizz staff. And certainly when you look at Bobby's, who they just hired, the ex-CIA guy.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
It's like, obviously, I mean this in a way personally that's, not a politicalized thing, but, obviously you look at Blizzard, roughly what way they're going to lean, and you're going to know that a lot of rank and file Blizzard staff will not be thrilled at, it was undersecretary of something, but basically Trump admin, ex-CIA, sort of military dude. You can sort of see that things like that wouldn't go down great with the rank and file. And, some of the things that Activision Blizzard does. I mean, there was a protest held by Blizzard staff at Activision Blizzard when the Blitzchung thing happened.
Yeah.
So, it's that thing where sometimes people just treat the Blizzard staff as, like just a pack of lemmings who are all, yes men sort of company people. I don't think that's at all the case. I think they're absolutely for passion out of Blizzard stuff, but I think they're probably aware that not all is perfect. I think given a bunch of the obvious issues. So that Moorheim is just here with a bunch of money, setting up seemingly a bunch of rockstar teams at these two devs. It's just the bullishness of that is interesting to me. And it's very clear, whenever okay, to go to BioWare. Was it the two doctors who were the co-founders of BioWare?
Yes.
You know, it was after Mass Effect 3 went down. And for that, EA forced them to crunch out Mass Effect 3 in 18 months. Which is mind-bogglingly stupid of EA to have done. I think, in retrospect, we would pretty much all agree with that.
Yeah.
But Ray Mizuki? Ray's something and somebody else. But anyway, they left BioWare and quit the games industry. I think they went into beer. Like beer brewing. I think they like opened a brewery or something.
That sounds like an upgrade.
Like, yeah, sounds awesome, yeah. But that's clearly a thing of, right, these two dudes are probably done with gaming. They're now over to beer. Whereas with Mike, it's like, if you leave being president of Blizzard and then instantly try to set up what externally looks and feels like Blizzard 2, it, you know, does it show that there is some sort of burning fire in Mike's heart to do it again, do it different, to apply all the perhaps he's learned through the wins and the losses of the last while into something that is new and fresh. And certainly the ability to disrupt is a lot bigger. I mean, you look there, Unity tools engineer. It's not custom engine tools engineer.
No.
So actually getting going quickly with, you know, the new engines, Unreals and Unities and stuff is way easier now. So
yeah, it's a case where I think, like, looking at this, I imagine that they'll have games out significantly faster than Activision Blizzard can, but ActiBliz will be putting all of that, because I mean, how many people were they hiring there for like game engine programming? And if they're building something from the ground up, or like massively improving on whatever Overwatch is built on, whatever they call it internally, I think like that's just going to add a couple of years to time for any major releases. And it'll be like an efficient move if it pays off. Like if they can get good people to make a good engine, it'll pay off for them in the long run.
especially because they'll save like 5% license fees.
Yeah, and then, you know, but the problem is, in those 3 years of making the engine, and then an extra 2 to get a game built on it fairly right, because obviously that'll be like parallelized as they do, which is often expedient but not a good idea. So I think that's what happened. A lot of Frostbite stuff was they kind of building, they were building the railroad tracks as the train was going, kind of. That's why I think they even described it that way at one point in some interview. But in this case, it's just gonna be like, hey, hello, yes, we've got a game out in 2 years. You would have one for another 2 years. The opinion of like who's winning and who's important, the PR battle will shift pretty handy there, I think.
Yeah.
And
So
that'll be an easy win anyway, as long as the game is good.
God, I'd love to see them do well. I mean, personally, I'd almost love Frost Giant to do well more, because I really like real-time strategy games, and I really want a bunch of StarCraft 2 people to make another one. You know, now that StarCraft 2, which not necessarily, because Blizzard did add a few new maps, and I was looking at Loquo, I could never do his name right. Simon.
Yes, Simon.
He's one of the StarCraft 2 YouTubers, and like he tweeted that StarCraft 2 had its like best. It was like the best day in terms of match made, ranked stuff. I think it was 300 and something thousand matches.
Yeah.
And the previous day was like 160,000 matches. And it was like an all-time record for the Legacy of the Void period of time. And you look at that and you're just like, Blizzard, StarCraft 2 is still capable of beating its own records, and you've pulled the team off it. Come on. So that's why, knowing that there's a bunch of Team 1 people out there who have now got up to a total of 9.7 million in seed funding,
Brutal.
I mean, that's just great news. So
Yeah.
exciting.